Hey there, this is Mr. Icarus, and welcome to yet another edition of Doom Mod Madness. This time round, we're checking out Winter's Fury. This is a mod that I've had on my list for a while, and I kept getting it confused with a few other mods that shared a similar kind of theming, a lot of snow-capped cold environments, but the ones that I'd played before this were kind of dull, and I was confusing it with those ones, but believe me when I say that this is far from dull. Seriously, as soon as that music kicks in, you know you're in for a heck of a lot of fun. This is one of those mods where I thought I'm just going to sit down for a little while, just get a bead on what it's all about, and an hour later I was still playing, finding power couplings, bringing down force fields, and just having an absolute whale of a time. It's a mod that doesn't do anything drastic in terms of the core gameplay, but it just has so much polish on it that it almost hurts to look at. That's how shiny and awesome everything here looks to me. This outdoors environment, for example, the fact that it's draped in fog and mist, it gives you a clear demarcation between outside parts of the level and inside parts. Seriously, when we go back indoors a little later on here, you'll notice the clear big difference between the two, and it really adds to the chilly atmosphere of the place as well. Not to mention the fact that a lot of the enemies here are reskinned, well, mainly in the outdoors areas, because you get your traditional Doom demons indoors, while outside you get these icy variants, which is pretty cool. It's an aesthetic choice more than anything. It doesn't really affect how much damage they deal, at least as far as I can tell, but aesthetic sometimes goes a hell of a long way to making a mod feel and look great to play. As you've no doubt noticed, we've got a few weapon switches here, so instead of the chain gun, we've got the machine pistol, which is pretty cool, or the Uzi, whatever you want to call it. Instead of the regular old pump-action shotgun, we've also got an assault shotgun, and later on we should hopefully be able to pick up the super shotgun variant here, which is pretty fun because it also flings enemies back pretty far when you blast them at close range. But as I mentioned earlier, you can now tell that this is very much an indoor environment. The mist effect from outside has gone, and yeah, it's just a really neat touch that adds a little bit of subtle variety to the level and actually makes the place feel a little bit more physical, like it's actually supposed to exist and have a function within this world that the mod author has created. Another thing that I really enjoy about the level design of Winter's Fury is the inclusion of force fields, and the fact that to disengage them, you need to find and destroy power couplings like this one right here. And they come in a few different shapes and sizes, but ultimately they all perform the same function. They'll bring down force fields when destroyed, and occasionally they'll cause secret walls to slide up and give you extra enemies to battle against. But crucially, it helps to break up the usual flow of a traditional Doom map. Normally you're finding keycards, assigning them to the appropriate colored doors, but with this, you're doing something a little bit different. You're going to have to regard your environment a little bit more closely in order to discover those power couplings and open up the path that you need to progress through the rest of the level. And this is just the opening level, first of 14 in total as far as I know, and it is absolutely jam-packed. Pretty much everything you will need to know about Winter's Fury gameplay mechanic-wise is here and present in some form or another. The power couplings, the force fields, the nature of the level design itself, even the Berserker pack, which is a little bit different in this mod as well. Rather than just giving you a strength upgrade for your fisticuffs, it gives you a speed upgrade for the fire rate of your weapons as well. So if you're not content, rapid punching a pinky in the face, for example, you can switch over to a shotgun and experience 2 times the fire rate as well, which is pretty neato, all things considered. I also really enjoy what Winter's Fury does design-wise with switches, because it's very easy to fuck up a switch. You have no idea how easy it is to place a switch, and then have a player get really confused and have no idea what the hell they're supposed to be doing. But the level design here really complements that, and it's something that is easy to demonstrate here in this opening level once we clear out this room full of goons. Because for me, switches and the placement of switches relies on you being able to understand what the effect of that switch is. So as we go out this door here, our direct line of sight leads us to the effect of that switch, which is this one here. And that's neat. That is pretty tight level design. I am under no illusion of where I need to go there, of what I need to achieve, because now I'm getting the red keycard, which is down this little extra dead-end section of the level. It encourages exploration, but it also has a little bit of a subtle guiding hand there as well, and that is why I enjoy it so goddamn much. And as I've already mentioned, this is just the opening level. But wait, there's more! Not only am I really impressed with the aesthetic and level design of Winter's Fury, and trust me, that's an aspect that runs all the way through quality-wise, I'm also really impressed with what they've done with boss battles here as well. As I've mentioned in the past, first-person shooters don't always have great boss battles, or even boss battles at all. They tend to fall back on that old trope of shoot it until it dies, which we've had since, well, the Cyber Demon. And this mod is a mod that acknowledges that fact and does try to do some interesting stuff with the battle itself. So we've got some interesting homing attacks from the Cycloid Queen, which I believe is from Duke Nukem 3D, and we've also got phase changes, one of which we're in the middle of right now. Every quarter health that you get the boss down to, something interesting will happen with the environment. In this instance, we've got a bunch of demons flooding in from the sides, which forces you to split your attention somewhat, while the big old Cycloid Queen there tries to stomp you into oblivion. And when we get down to half, something else interesting will happen as well, and it's part of the reason that I find the boss battles here so impressive. So, a few more blasts with the super shotgun should hopefully seal the deal any minute now. But, here we go. As you can see, we've got a soul sphere, and we will also have some really cool shit coming down from the ceiling. Hey, and they're basically lightning rods, which add a little bit of elemental danger to the boss battle as well. And I may be wrong, but I think you can actually lure the Cycloid Queen through this and force her to take damage from the lightning strikes as well, which is just really neat. If you can't make the boss itself, the boss character, complex, you can make the environment complex. You can make the environment work for your boss battle as well, and that's something that I feel hasn't been used all that often. We've now got a column that's risen up in the middle, which allows you to put a bit of a break in the line of sight between you and your enemy, and it's just cool. It changes up your tactics, it changes up the way you approach the battle. It's really, really well implemented, and no doubt includes a headache-inducing amount of ACS scripting. Thankfully, this isn't the only boss battle that you'll be able to enjoy during the course of Winter's Fury. There's a fair few of them sprinkled throughout the campaign. In fact, directly after this battle, you end up having to fight 2 Cycloid Queens. And if you think that's a bit excessive, don't worry, it's not the same aim as this fight. Rather than having to bring both of them down, you merely have to evade them and stay alive until reinforcements arrive and blast the hell out of them for you. It's a neat little twist, it's a nice bit of variety, and you never feel like you're stuck doing the same thing over and over and over, and that's why I think Winter's Fury really excels in that department. Now, when it comes down to storytelling, I don't generally place a lot of importance on it, especially in Doom mods, because 9 times out of 10 it's unnecessary and generally a bit crappy, because what justification do you really need, to be honest, to run around blasting demons in the face? Not much, but either way, Winter's Fury tells a story, and personally I think this is the gold standard for storytelling in Doom mods. Now, firstly, I'm not saying this is the greatest story ever told in Doom. There's a difference between that and what I mean. What I mean here is presentation. And this level alone is a really great example. No enemies to fight, it's just you moving towards Mt Baphomet in the background, and a conversation's playing out between you and another character at the same time, but you get a real sense of the scale of the place. You get a real sense of the geography of this world, and this goes throughout the entire mod. You constantly feel like you're moving towards something. You're not just teleporting between random facilities, and that is a really fantastic thing to be able to convey. And when it comes down to the actual cutscenes themselves that take active control away from you, you can still skip through the conversations. That should be mandatory. Any Doom mod that has a cutscene where you just sat there watching a conversation play out, for the love of God, let me skip it. What if I want to play your mod twice? It'll just lead to endless boredom on the player's front if they're stuck there reading through the exact same thing they've seen 2, 3, 4 times. But Winter's Fury, take notes. This is how it should be done. So, yeah, if you haven't figured it out by now, I kind of like this mod. Just a tiny bit. And you know what? I dearly wish I could show you as much of this mod as I possibly could, but really I'm just cherry picking a few moments from this that I really enjoyed. I mean, the opening to this level as well, it's just really impressive looking. There's loads of moments that'll make you just go, wow, that's really neat. But even then, all of that would count for absolutely nothing if there wasn't some sort of compelling challenge at the core of Winter's Fury, and I can safely say that there is most certainly a challenge to be enjoyed here. I died a fair number of times on my ascent of Mt Baphomet. There were even a few moments where I was tempted to say that Winter's Fury was maybe taking the piss ever so slightly, because with regards to ammunition, it does get ever so slightly scarce, and there may be a few moments where you'll end up running around like an idiot with nothing but your fisticuffs, desperately trying to hoover up ammunition. But then again, that may just be lack of skill on my part. I was playing this on a difficulty below Hurt Me Plenty, so take from that what you will. But if you're looking for a challenge, you will most certainly find one here in Winter's Fury. When it comes to levying any sort of criticism against Winter's Fury, a lot of the stuff that I've got in mind just falls into the nitpick category, really. When it comes to the weaponry, sure, the guns could stand to look a little bit more exciting. The sprites that they've chosen here aren't all that inspired, let's say, and the shotguns could definitely stand to sound a little beefier, especially the super shotgun. But other than that, they do exactly what they're supposed to do. They're functional. They're not really the stars of this particular show. When it comes to how the WAD itself runs, it does get a little bit chuggy every now and again, and that's chiefly down to the sheer size of the thing. It's a pretty chunky WAD. It involves a lot of pretty intricate and large environments, and some of those will cause your frame rate to tank unless you've got an absolute beast of a machine. You'll notice during this boss fight that the frame rate will kind of bounce up and down ever so slightly depending on where I'm facing, but other than that, it doesn't really affect the gameplay too much. It's just not quite as smooth as it could be, is all. And finally, on my list of inconsequential nitpicks, this final battle is too epic for its own good. Seriously, I told you, these are nitpicks, but yeah, this final boss battle goes through something like 4 bosses. I'm not talking about 4 phases, I'm talking about 4 actual bosses, and by the end of it, you will be absolutely friggin' exhausted. And you know what, honestly, I imagine that's the aim of it. It's the end of the game. Of course, you're gonna have to work for it, but I'm a wuss, and I'd probably like my epic conclusion to be just a little bit more forgiving, please. Thank you very much. But yeah, there you go. Winter's Fury, absolutely phenomenal. I urge as many of you as possible to give this a go. It is a real fantastic time in a Doom mod, and yeah, the link, as usual, is in the description below. Hopefully you've enjoyed watching this video. Feel free to let me know what you thought in the comments, and feel free to suggest any mods you'd like to see me cover in future episodes of Doom Mod Madness. Don't forget to share this video if you think others will find it interesting. This has been Mr. Icarus. Thank you very much for watching. Icarus out.